did to be different. I did to be different. I did to be different. I did. I did. I did to be different. I did to be different.
I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? Oh my gosh. I just dropped everything. Don't worry about it. I'm going to drop that too because I am so excited to be here today. Let me tell you, I flew out from Sarasota, Florida this morning just to interview amazing people doing amazing things. And you guys know that I absolutely love this to the core. And I have the women behind the mic right here with me. I read this book twice so far, and I've only had it for a few days. You guys were with me when I got it. And let me tell you something. This is an amazing book. The women behind the mic, the stories, the experience, thousands of years of experience. All these ladies right here, I'm telling you, they're amazing. And I have some of them sitting with me today. And I also want to give names, and I want to make sure that I'm saying this right. I have Juanita Stevens. See, I did that right the first time. And then you have Kelly Green. And Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. Hey, so man, I'm telling you, okay, ladies, let me put this back here because I don't need that no more. Listen, I'm excited to have them because they're amazing women doing amazing things. And let me tell you something. There's no stereotypical thing here. If you think that you can't do it, it's only in your mind that you can't do it, because these three ladies sitting here have done the thing that you said you can't do. Don't tell me you can't. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic down. And please tell everybody who you are and a little bit about your background.
My name is Juanita Stevens. I've been a publicist in the music industry for quite a long time, several decades. I started my career at MCA Records as a secretary. Within 4 years of being at MCA Records, I was promoted to a vice president of publicity and artist development as the first African-American female to do so in the history of the record company. I have represented some of the most prolific, amazingly, artists in the industry. I started my career in heavy metal, rock and roll, and country music. I was trained by my boss, who was a Jewish woman, to master publicity. At that time, MCA signed Stephanie Mills, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, New Edition, Bobby Brown, Heavy D, Jody Watley, Jodeci, everybody. I inherited them as my clients at the record company. I mastered the publicity for every single R&B artist that MCA had, including some of Uptown's artists, when Andre Harrell partnered with MCA Records. I'm currently Charlie Wilson's publicist. I've been with Charlie for 14 years. I've been with Bobby Brown since he was 14 years old when they first walked into MCA Records. I'm independent. I own my own company and have been independent for the past 25 years. I'm very particular about creating a story to outline who it is you're listening to, who you're working with, so we can have a better understanding of everything we do. Everything that we do as publicists is about a story. And so we have learned how to master that story and bring the best out of people. I also was a talent booker for the Bobby Brown documentary. I booked Johnny Gill, Usher, Babyface, New Edition, and several other artists in the documentary. I also oversaw his 12-week series, The Bobby Brown Family. And I think that's a lot of stuff I've done. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
That's it in the show. She could do it. Juanita could do it all. Hi, my name is Kelly Green. I started my career in the music business in the early 90s at Bad Boy Entertainment as an intern. And then I went on to be Puffy's assistant and then the receptionist. And then I finally got hired as artist relations coordinator. That's where I met my good friend, Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. And from there, I moved my way up to different labels at different positions, from artist relations coordinator, product manager, director of marketing, senior director of marketing. I worked with such artists as the Notorious B.I.G., Faith Evans, Total, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Ghostface Killer, Wu-Tang, and I know I'm forgetting somebody, but anyway, and I'm in marketing. I started my career in promotions as the only woman in the promotions department at Bad Boy, so that was quite a learning experience. And then Michelle Joyce, who's not here today, but she's a co-author of Women Behind the Mic. She helped me get into the marketing department, and I spent the rest of my career doing marketing. I am no longer in the music business. I am now a disability advocate because that's something personal to my life, as well as I still do some branding and marketing for individuals. And like Juanita, I help people tell stories about themselves and help build a personal brand for them in their companies.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm literally done. Oh my gosh, Dr.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, and I like to say I'm God's girl, and I'm a full-time wife and mother and a part-time everything else. But I have been working in the entertainment industry for, like Juanita, for decades, and I got my start in radio, doing news and writing for the Sheridan Broadcasting Networks, where I first met Juanita. In fact, my experience there, working with Juanita during that time frame when I was a writer and producer for the weekly program called Top 30 USA for Donnie Simpson, that show was the reason why I got to know Juanita and could even ring her phone. And she helped to make my job easier by making her artists available as a radio producer. And then after that, I went on to do publicity. I went on also to, just like Juanita, I worked at Arista Records though. And I also worked at Hush Productions. I worked with a boutique label. And I worked with artists like the OJs over the years, and also Patti LaBelle through a boutique public relations label. And I was Biggie's publicist from the first day to the last, and Puffy as well. In fact, when Clive Davis called me and said, I want you to start treating Puffy like an artist. I said, sir? He said, yes, start doing publicity for Puffy like an artist. Okay. And then of course that's what I did, and he's the Puff Daddy, P. Diddy love that we know today. And it has just been an amazing ride. Miss Aretha, Whitney Houston, TLC, Monica, Usher, just so many of the greats. And I know I'm leaving some out as well. And we can't be in the ATL without mentioning Outkast, of course, and Deborah Cox. And it has just been amazing. But one of the reasons why we even created Women Behind the Mic, Michelle Joyce, who is the co-creator, and myself, we got a little tired of revisionist history being in full swing. And we know that these people who've been doing the biopics and the documentaries, they don't owe us to tell our stories, so we tell our own. And I got really through when I saw the New Edition story, and this one was not mentioned. And Renee Foster, who worked with her, 3 nights, was not mentioned. And I said, I'm tired. And Michelle and I called our sisters, and we got to work. And this is our first volume, Curators of Pop Culture, Word to the Wise, Volume 1. And there will be several volumes to follow.
Amazing. The reason why I was melting in my seat is because, people say, you can't do that. That's impossible. Am I right? Oh, you can't work for those people. Okay? Don't tell me that no more. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your excuses. I want to see action. These ladies here are amazing, but they're ladies just like all of us. And we need to, like we used to, like I was told to do when I was a young little kid, you sit under their feet and you learn. That's how we learn. And you learn. That's why I have this show, because I find that people aren't sitting under the feet of experienced people anymore. We think we know it. We're 17 again? Oh, please don't do that. We're not teenagers. These ladies are here giving their all. Look. Right here. This is under their feet. This is under their feet. You know, I was thinking about it, and I read your story. I read a lot about your histories. I saw your pictures and stuff. I was like, oh, cool. I'm going to have her there today. And it was just so cool. You know, as you went and you progressed, and I'm asking all three of you, as you went and you progressed and you learned about the music industry, what was the one thing and one lesson each of you have learned in your time in the music industry?
I think the one thing I learned is exactly what you just mentioned. To sit with people who had the knowledge and had the talent so that I could absorb what it was they were doing. When we came through the music industry, we weren't separated. We sat with the program director at radio stations. We sat with the concert promoter. We sat with the talent booker. Everyone had information, and we absorbed their information. What made us so great at what we were doing is that the information they were providing us, we were able to take all of it and incorporate it into the careers of the artists. So we had artist development. We knew how to do artist development because we heard what was needed. And that was one of the greatest things I learned. And I learned that we as women coming through the music industry were camaraderie that never separated from each other. Never, ever, ever separated from each other. When one person had an event, we were all invited. So we had a sisterhood that was so tight. Today, I don't see that. I see a big separation. I see so many of the women intimidated. I was intimidated by other women, and this causes them to not share the information that they have. So they're not learning the way we had to learn what we were doing. Today they put titles on themselves and they haven't learned because they're not sitting next to any of us. So we're wondering what it is they're doing. We create stories. We mold artists. We structure these stories. You know, that is our job. And then we put them out there. We don't stand in a photo with them and put it on Instagram. That was a no-no. That was against the rule of being a publicist. And you were trained to know that client is the artist and you're not. And your job is to sell them and not you. It's totally opposite today. So we learn to really master our jobs by concentrating on what we were told to do. And we learned all this stuff from other people. Nobody comes and sits with me. They'll say, I want to work with you, but they don't want to work with me. They want to go to the party. And I don't go to parties. I'm not the party girl. So I can't let them sit with me because what they're expecting from me is not going to come to them.
Before we go on, I want to say that amazing. You're right. You know, that's why I started this show. I started this show because I saw a lack of that sitting with people who knew. I saw a lack of the leadership of the family, of the people that were teaching back in the day. My grandmother, sit here, young lady, let's talk. It was always now it's like you said, nobody's sharing anything. What are we doing here? Our next generation is so messed up, they can't even function because we're not sit here. I'm here to let you know that this is the way I'm doing it, but you can do it your way. But just do it. Just do it. Bring those kids in. Turn the TV off. Make them go outside and make mud pies. Yes. Eat the mud. I mean, maybe that's what we did that was different. I have no idea, but what I do know is we need to be sitting under the tutelage of women like these three women that are sitting here today. And that's why we have them on the show. What about you? What have you learned?
I would say for me, and I didn't realize this at the time, but recognize those opportunities when they come to you. I started as an intern. I had no idea that I would end up where I was. But at the time, I moved from Philadelphia. That's where I was living once I graduated from Howard University. I knew Puffy from Howard. I called him up, him and Harv Pierre, some of you might know. And they told me that they didn't have any money for me, but I was more than welcome to come and intern. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell all my stuff, move to New York City, stay with a friend, and I'm going to go be an intern at Bad Boy. And not saying that you have to starve, not saying that that has to be your path, but you have to recognize when those opportunities come along. A few months later, the only money they had was for a receptionist at Bad Boy. And I took the job because I knew that was my way of getting my foot in the door. If I had not taken that job as a receptionist, making no money, barely, I would not have ended up as Senior Director of Marketing at Universal Records and not having the opportunity to work with Erykah Badu as her very first product manager, or Jill Scott as her very first product manager. So recognize those opportunities. The package may not come in what you thought it should look like, but recognize those opportunities, and reaching out to women like this will help you recognize those opportunities.
Jill Scott said something that really turned me into who I am today. It was just me sitting there trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. This was a hobby. This was before I really kind of took this seriously just to find out that millions of people have watched this show. Since 2006, I've reached over 200 million people. But Jill Scott said something she said it was plain and clear. She said, and I'm not sure if it was a quote or if it was her saying it. It's been so many years. You got to be willing to do something for free to get ahead. I said, well, daggone it, we gonna do this then. And that really changed my life. Just that quote just changed my life, you know. And you have to be willing. Now, again, you had your own path. You had your path. Everybody has a path to take. Doctor, what's your path?
My path and what I have learned throughout my industry experience is to do all with excellence. And I want to be remembered for that everything I put my hand to was excellent. And as we move on in this life and share this energy and these ideals and what we have learned, we are committed, the Women Behind the Mic organization, to teaching the next generation, just like you say, about careers in the entertainment industry. And we have written a curriculum for high schoolers and collegiates to learn about these careers, and we provide pathways to internships so that they can get the experience, because it is important to sit under the feet. But not only that, not only are the things that we teach viable for the entertainment industry, they are viable for any industry. Stand up here and say your name with clarity. Don't stutter. Don't say like 1,000 times. Don't say, so, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Who's that? Who is that? You know what I'm saying? I used to charge Puffy for every you know what I'm saying. It started with $0.25, and when it ended with $20, he stopped saying it. Okay? So that is what I have learned overall. Wow. And that this camaraderie, this sisterhood, that when we pick up the phone and call one another, we're there for each other. We're there for each other, no matter what.
My makeshift thing here. But literally speaking, I love that. I love camaraderie. And I find that we're lacking that. That's why I'm here today. I need it. I find that I can't function without it. I think that that's what our generation was good at. Yes. And now this generation is not, because of TV and computers and social media. That's not the same. It has weakened, yeah.
It has taken a lot from them that they can, obtain from us because of social media. And the thing about it, they don't come and ask us anything. We're not asked anything. If it hadn't been for her book, as a matter of fact, I have a young lady who goes to Howard, my next door neighbor. She's like my earth sister. She's 21, 22 years old, and she's studying film and TV. And I said to her, you need to come to the panel on Saturday and buy that book, so that you can understand what we went through to get to where we're at, so that when you go into that particular field, you'll understand that it's going to be a part of the process. Okay, but you're going to be stronger when you're aware that it's part of the process. And she's coming to the panel just to hear us. And she said to me, I would love to come and see you, Miss Juanita. I said, I'd be honored. I'd be honored for you to come. And so she's preparing herself to come. She's excited to meet these women, you know. And I was happy to see that a young lady who's aspiring to be in the field that we're in entertainment, wants to be around us. Yeah.
I wouldn't be around you too. I mean, we don't have that much time, and I understand that, and I got it. I would love for people to be able to sit under your tutelage. You know, do you guys have social media? Can I post it and all that stuff? Hold on a second. Also, where can they find the book?
The good book can be found wherever books are sold, and if you don't see it on the shelf at your bookseller, by all means ask for it by name, and of course Amazon.com will deliver it to you post-haste. We also never turn away anyone who says they'd like to learn. Never turn away anyone who says they want to learn. We are inherently motherly. We're the best bonus moms. We're the best aunties. Yes, and big sisters. Yes, for sure. So, and we also can be contacted at womenbehindthemic@gmail.com. And that's how you can get in touch with us for bookings, book signings, or to say you'd like to work with us. And we'll put you to work, I promise you.
Ladies, I want to thank you guys so much for being with me today, for sharing, for the moment that we could sit under their feet. This doesn't stop here. Again, go ahead and go to Amazon.com. Women Behind the Mic is the book. You need to go ahead and get that. Like I said, I've read it twice, and I'm going to read it again. Only because I think that understanding that as women and as black women, we can. That's the end of the sentence. We can. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Don't forget to Dare to Be Different. We're going to have all of their information and their social medias right in the description box wherever you're watching, above, below, to the side. I don't care. Okay. And until next time, guys, don't forget to dare to be different. All right. Thank you.